Our story begins in 1899, roughly 12 years before the original Red Dead Redemption, and the Dutch Van der Linde gang are on the run from the law, in particular, the Pinkerton Detective Agency.
This weather, it's May. I'm just hoping the law got as lost as we did.
Until recently, the gang had been operating around West Elizabeth, and the gang's leader, Dutch, along with a few other members, had attempted to rob a ferry. The plan quickly went south. 2 of the members were captured and 1 killed. Then, during their escape, Dutch shot an innocent woman named Heidi McCourt. The surviving gang members, including Dutch, Micah, Javier and John, all escaped, met back up with the rest of the gang, including the player character Arthur Morgan, and then they fled north into the mountains.
Now we've had, well, a bad couple of days. I loved Davy, Jenny, Sean, Mac. They may be okay. We don't know. But we lost some folks.
This is where you start playing, as we see the gang struggle to survive up in the frozen wastes. During your time here, you'll save a woman named Sadie Adler, whose home was attacked by a rival gang known as the O'Driscolls. They killed her husband, and she has been locked away in the basement ever since.
He was my husband.
Over the next few days, you do a bit of hunting, and John Marston gets wounded in a wolf attack. You slaughter some more O'Driscolls, and then discover that they were planning on robbing a train.
This is something about the train they was gonna rob. Of Mr. Leviticus Cornwall.
Eventually, the snow melts enough for the gang to begin to make their way out of the mountains, and find a more permanent settlement near the town of Valentine. However, to finance their continued survival, Dutch decides to rob the train the O'Driscolls had been targeting.
We don't want to kill any of you. Any more of you. I give you my word, but trust me, we will.
The train belongs to an oil baron named Leviticus Cornwall, and although the heist goes well, there is still a price to pay. When Cornwall hears about what happened, he will begin to heavily finance the Pinkerton Detective Agency to hunt down and bring an end to Dutch's gang. However, for now, the gang have survived the mountains and they can get back to their usual business, which largely consists of robbing people, saving your fellow gang members, a couple of bar brawls, shooting some O'Driscolls, and hunting a mixture of animals and debtors.
You borrowed money from my business partner, Herr Strauss. You owe him, you took the money. He wants it back, what's not to understand?
Life doesn't seem too bad, and the gang seems to be getting back on its feet. However, one day, Arthur takes young Jack Marston, John's son, out fishing, and the pair are paid a visit by the Pinkertons.
This is my offer, Mr. Morgan. Bring in Van der Linde, and you have my word you won't swing.
Oh, I ain't gonna swing anyways, Agent
Milton.
You see, I haven't done anything wrong, aside from not playing the games to your rules.
Spare me the philosophy lesson. I've already heard it from Mac Callender.
Mac Callender?
He was pretty shot up by the time I got to him. So really, it was more of a mercy killing. Slow, but merciful.
Dutch is concerned, but decides the best course of action is to bide their time and not do anything stupid. However, it isn't long before Cornwall and some of his men track down Dutch in Valentine, resulting in a bloody shootout through the streets. Once again, the gang have to pack up and run, this time setting up their camp near the town of Rhodes. Things aren't all bad, however, as it turns out that Rhodes is home to 2 rival families, the Greys and the Braithwaites, who are each rumoured to be in possession of a massive amount of hidden gold. Dutch and the rest of the gang begin to play both sides of the feud in an attempt to track down the gold, but in turn, they get played themselves.
Hey, hold up. This don't feel right.
Now it don't feel right. I could have told you.
After surviving the Greys' ambush with only one casualty, you return to camp to discover that in the time you were gone, the Braithwaites had also struck and kidnapped young Jack Marston.
Where's my son? If anything, where is my son, Dutch van der Linde?
We will find him, we will bring him back to you, and we will kill any fool that had the temerity to touch one hair on that boy's head.
Vengeance is swift, as Dutch leads the gang to the Braithwaites' manor and slaughters nearly everyone inside. However, Jack isn't there, and eventually you uncover that he'd been given to a man named Angelo Bronte in Saint Denis.
My sons gave him to Angelo Bronte, so my guess is Saint Denis. Either there or on the boat to Italy.
Let's go!
Arthur, come on!
What we doing with her?
Leave her!
I told you she was crazy.
As if things couldn't get any worse, the Pinkertons once again track down the gang, this time turning up in the middle of their camp and threatening to return with 50 men.
Who made you the messiah to these lost souls you've led so horribly astray?
I'm nothing but a seeker, Mr. Milton.
You ain't much of anything more than a killer, Mr. van der Linde.
The gang has to move, but Jack is still missing, so they head closer to Saint Denis, and Arthur and John head into town to get a lay of the land.
So, can my friend have his son?
Of course. But, should I be out of pocket over a misunderstanding?
Bronte is a powerful man, with seemingly every police officer and politician in the city in his pocket. But a deal is struck, and after a little work, Jack is returned, and the gang seems to have a new ally to aid them in the big city.
And all these people, these are friends of yours, Senor Bronte?
No, not quite. But they certainly are afraid of me.
Unsurprisingly, the alliance does not last very long, as Bronte is quick to betray Dutch and set the law after him.
That greasy son of a bitch, he set us up, you think?
It seemed like a good time for sarcasm to you, Arthur.
What we gonna do, gentlemen?
Something. The trolley. Follow me, gentlemen!
At this point, Dutch's descent into madness is taking a nosedive. We've watched him slowly become more and more erratic, paranoid and violent over the past few weeks, but things are beginning to escalate. Seeking revenge, he orders the gang to attack Bronte's home, kill his guards, and capture the man himself.
I surrender. Should we kill him? Nah, let's take him to Dutch.
This our friends the Pinkertons gonna come and rescue you, you repulsive little maggot! Call them now! You call them!
Jesus. Part of your philosophy books cover feeding a fella. Good goddamn alligator, Dutch.
Part that covers weakness.
With the pressure to escape the law mounting, Dutch decides to rob a bank with the goal of getting one big score. However, things go wrong once again, as Dutch's oldest friend, Hosea, is captured and killed.
Come on!
No!
God damn it!
There's your deal, Dutch.
The gang tries to shoot their way out, but things keep getting worse, as John Marston is captured off screen and Lenny is gunned down on a rooftop.
We can get across there! You goddamn sons of bitches!
With the net closing in, the surviving crew from the heist attempt to stow away on a ship headed to Cuba. However, even this doesn't go to plan, as the ship is wrecked in a storm and the gang finds themselves washed up on the shores of Guama, an island locked in civil war between the plantation owners and the slaves forced to work in the fields. Taking up arms alongside the slaves, you're able to help their cause and after a few days, escape the island back to mainland America. In the meantime, the rest of the gang was left without a leader. Thankfully, Sadie had stepped up and kept them all safe. But your return also brings with it the Pinkertons and another shootout.
saved us, Arthur.
Oh, me and Bill and Sadie.
You okay, son?
Sure. We ain't been back for more than a few days. What do we do, Dutch?
Clearly we need to leave.
Once again, it's time to move, this time to a series of caves. However, shortly after your arrival, Molly, Dutch's lover, makes a drunken reveal.
I told them!
I'm sorry?
Yeah, I told them and I tell them again. Now I've got God's ear.
You told who what?
Mr. Milton and Mr. Ross about the bank robbery, and I wanted them to kill you.
You did what?
I loved you, you goddamn bastard! Go on, shoot me!
Crazy. She ain't worth it.
You told on me.
Oh, you're
You
not so
betrayed
big now,
me.
are you?
Fine. Just calm down.
Arthur,
She's a fool. Get her out of here.
you know the
You're
rules.
not so big now. Are we, Your Majesty?
You...
And just to make sure things can't get any worse, Arthur has had a cough slowly develop over the course of the game. It started quite subtle, but now he's become prone to uncontrollable coughing fits, and in the middle of one, he passes out. Thankfully, he makes it to a doctor, but the prognosis isn't good.
You got tuberculosis. Really sorry for you, son. It's a hell of a thing.
There was a moment earlier in the game, a brief mission to collect a debt from a sick man, and during the fight he spits and coughs in Arthur's face. Although you don't know it at the time, this is when he contracted the tuberculosis. Knowing that he only has a short time to live, Arthur's views on the world begin to change, and when he hears that John Marston is set to be hanged for his part in the bank robbery and Dutch refuses to help, Arthur and Sadie go to rescue him. On their way back to camp, John reveals that Dutch had let him get caught during the bank robbery.
He saw it. Felt almost like he had a moment to do something and didn't.
Dutch ain't himself right now. Or maybe he just ain't who we thought he was.
Around this time, you'll notice the gang beginning to really fall apart. Some of the members will quietly leave over the coming days and weeks, with only those closest to Dutch sticking around. As for Dutch himself, he's been becoming more and more isolated from most of the gang, and spending time alone with Micah, the gang's most violent and crazed member.
Was you followed? No. Was you followed? I said no.
Okay.
What is your problem?
Dutch and Micah bring Arthur along on what they describe as a social call with Leviticus Cornwall, but it quickly becomes apparent the goal of the mission is nothing but murder.
Good. I prefer it this way.
You lost your man.
Noise, Arthur! Noise!
Off the back of this, Dutch develops a plan for one last big score, and he sets in motion a plan to ignite a war between the US Army and the nearby Native American tribe. The tribe's leader is a peaceful man, but his son, Eagle Flies, is young, angry, and easily manipulated, making him the perfect target for Dutch.
No! You're making a mistake. Put your hands up, soldier. Take a little humiliation and leave these fine folks alone.
Arthur and fellow gang member Charles do what they can to help the tribe's leader, but eventually Dutch's plan comes to a head, and the result is another massacre with countless casualties.
I'm gonna try and save him. This fight is unwinnable. If you go and distract them and let me get to him.
Have it your way. The rest of you, ride with me. Let's meet up at the factory. Let's ride! Yeah!
Go with him. Try and help there. I'm better off alone.
We're riding with you.
Come on, then. Yeah!
During the fighting, Dutch and Arthur are able to steal some bonds, but are ambushed as they escape.
We got one! A white one! Dad? I need help! I need help!
Although Dutch abandons you, you're thankfully rescued by Eagle Flies. However, he pays the price and is mortally wounded.
Oh, you silly fool! Come on!
You saved my life more than once. To give mine for yours, it's as it should be.
Arthur no longer has any doubt about the kind of man Dutch has become, but he knows the tuberculosis will kill him soon, and he wants to do something to give his life meaning. He decides to make sure one good thing comes out of all of this, and conspires to make sure that John, Abigail and Jack are able to escape and lead a good life.
Are Abigail and Jack ready to leave?
I think so.
Okay. But whatever happens with this job today, wherever Dutch and them go next, we're getting you the hell out of here. We're going to get you the money you need. Knowing the three of you got out, well, maybe all of this will still mean something.
With that in mind, he joins Dutch and the others in one final train heist. However, there is another tragic twist.
Where's John?
I tried.
He didn't make it. That patrol killed him. We had to run.
Come on, let's go. Before another patrol turns up.
Ha! Ha!
The rest of the gang make their escape with sackfuls of money. However, in the time they were absent from the camp, the Pinkertons came in and took Abigail, leaving poor Jack without either of his parents.
They came and took Abigail. I saved Jack. We hid, but they took Abigail.
Who did?
Agent Milton and his men took her to Van Horn to be put on a boat and tried for murder.
I am sorry to hear that.
We gotta let her go.
You're right. Micah, it pains me to say it, Arthur, but he's right.
Dutch!
Come on, boys.
Dutch once again shows his true colours and abandons Abigail to her fate. However, Sadie remains loyal, and together you're able to rescue her, but in the process you uncover that it was Micah who has been betraying the gang to the Pinkertons all along, and you return to camp to confront him.
It all makes sense now.
No, it damn well doesn't.
Dutch, think.
Dutch, be practical now.
Dutch!
John?
You left me! You left me to die!
My boy, I didn't have a choice. John, I didn't have a choice.
Left me!
It turns out that Dutch had left John to die, just like he left you. However, the few remaining members of the gang still take Dutch's side, leaving Arthur and John outnumbered 6-2.
He's lying!
Put your guns down! God damn it! Move!
This is probably the only time in the game that you'll be pleased to see the Pinkertons arrive, as their attack gives Arthur and John a chance to escape through the caves. You're given some choices here, and the story will branch, but no matter the decision, John will make his escape, and Arthur and Micah come head to head.
I got you now, Black Lung!
Rat! You rat!
I'm a survivor, Black Lung! A survivor! That's all there is! Living and dying!
At this point, Arthur's sickness has progressed too far, and he's outmatched by the healthier man. In the final moments of the fight, Dutch arrives, but takes no side, leaving Micah to run away, and Arthur to watch his final sunrise. In any normal game, this would be where the story ends, but in Red Dead Redemption 2, we pick back up a few years later with John, Abigail and Jack, as they try to do what Arthur wanted and make a better life for themselves.
Let's see what we can find in Strawberry. What do you know about Strawberry?
I know they like good, honest, hard-working men a whole lot more than angry killers. So make yourself good and honest.
I'm always honest. Maybe not always good, but I'm always honest.
John eventually gets a loan to buy some land, and the family settle down, along with two other ex-gang members, Charles and Uncle. However, when Sadie Adler arrives with news of Micah's whereabouts, John and her set out, along with Charles, to get revenge for everything he did.
Let's go kill this son of a bitch then.
Sadie and Charles both get wounded as you shoot your way through Micah's new gang, but eventually you track him down, along with another old friend.
Mrs. Adler? It's been quite a while.
You shot me. You shot me pretty good.
Thank you.
Dutch leaves without another word, leaving a large pile of cash and gold for John to find, more than enough to pay off your loan and live in peace. Well, at least until the beginning of the original Red Dead Redemption. Red Dead Redemption 2 is a massive game, and this is just the very core story. There are many other tales woven throughout, such as Arthur's love life, the battles with the O'Driscolls, Sadie's rise to becoming a notorious bounty hunter, and many more, but those are a story for another time. As always, this is James Verkes, saying thanks for watching, and enjoy the game.